A lot of people have dogs that are really, really easily distracted. And actually, that just brought me back to another blog post I've written called, Is Your Dog Just Easily Distracted? Great, here's why. So that blog post is all about gatewaying rewards. So when Ned was a youngster, I really struggled with his focus anytime there was water around. Okay. And I'm talking 12 to 16 week range. Anytime there was a puddle, anytime there was a pond, a lake, a stream, and I do field training with my dogs. So there's a lot of opportunity for them to be around water. So I needed to get this under control. So with Ned, food was not important when water was around. He could have cared less. I could have had steak and it would, nope, I want water. Nope, I want to go swim. Nope, I want to go play in that stuff. It's the funnest stuff ever. And he's still like that to this day. He loves water. But I will tell you, he listens better around water than just about anything else because of the way I taught him that, you know what, in order to get to that thing, you need to do what I want first. Right. So basically, I started with really, really simple stuff. I started beside the water and I started with just, having him sit for a second. And basically, when he sat for a second calmly, I would say, yes, okay, and go swim. And then I'd run with him to the water and we'd have a little play in the water and then I would move him back out of the water again and I would repeat that. So he started to learn in order to get there, I need to do this, right? And then I added in things like response to name. So now we're moving around the water. I say, Ned, he gives me a brilliant response to name. I say, yes, go swim. And we run to the water and we play with the water. So that's one way that I combated with my hunting dogs. I combated that draw of the natural environment and the things that they want. And eventually he got to the point where he would drill holes in me with his eyes, trying to get me to say, yes, go swim when there was any water around. And that became automatic for him. We would get out of the vehicle in whatever area we were doing field training in. We would get out of the vehicle in that new spot. And right away, if he saw water, he'd be staring at me. Can I go? Can I go? Can I do it? Can I do it? It just got conditioned for him to look to me for permission. Now, at the same time, I was also training skills with him.
Because often the dog ignores us because we've allowed it to ignore us. So right from puppyhood, we've called their name and they've run the other way and we went, oh, well. And the dog says, I can ignore you. So now as a 2-year-old, the dog says, you know what? I've never had to listen to you before. Why would I listen to you now?
Yeah, absolutely. And going into an environment that's really stimulating with a dog that has learned that they can ignore you. We need to hold our dogs accountable for their behavior every single day if we want our dogs to listen to us every single day. Right. If we want our dogs to listen to the recall out on the street when they happen to, one of the kids left the door open and they're running towards a cat that's running across the street and we need them to come. If we expect them to listen there, we need to make sure that when we called their name from across the room, even though, there was no immediate danger there, we held them accountable for that if they did not turn. And that's important. And that doesn't mean being like a tyrant and always being militant with them, but it means being honest with yourself. Right. If I let my dog ignore this cue in this situation that is completely benign, yes, it doesn't immediately put him in danger. But in a roundabout way, it does put him in extreme danger. Right, because if my dog thinks, like you just said, if my dog thinks, it's okay for me to ignore you over here, they don't understand the difference between the situation being more dire because there's traffic and cars and they're chasing this cat. They don't understand any of that. They just understand that they don't have to listen.
Right. Yeah. Our voice means nothing.
That's it. Absolutely. We have not said, no, you must turn on your name. Hey, you didn't respond there. We've not done that. Walk up to them, repeat their name, give them a little poke in the butt and say, hey, I was talking to you, and, making sure that you follow through. Yes. That's not even a mean scenario. That's not even me being militant. It's just, you're across the room and I say Swanee and you don't turn and I need your attention because I want to make sure that I tell you this really important piece of information that is going to keep you safe. I'm going to walk up and I'm going to say Swanee and I'm going to give you a little touch. Like I'm going to poke you on the shoulder to say, hey, you know what? I called you. Like, why are you ignoring me? This isn't cool. And then when you turn around to look at me, I'm going to go, Swanee, guess what? I got candy for you because you turned and responded to me. So I'm going to make it worth your while, but I'm also going to insist. Right. Sort of like with our kids, right? We can't just say, it's okay. You know what? I don't mind if you don't listen in this scenario, because we know that carries over to other
Right.
scenarios, right?
Right.
We know that if they think it's okay here, they think it's okay there.
Right.
Or, you know, if the skill is not powerful enough to change the behavior here,
Right.
how on earth is it going to be powerful enough to change
Right,
the behavior
yes.
over there?
Well, I remember in the park, I saw a little child running away from the mother, and the child was running towards the bleachers, and the mother's calling her name and get back here. And the child just continued to ignore her. And then when the child got to the bleachers and the mother caught her, the mother just took her hand and continued to let the little girl walk on the bleachers. And I thought, that child's just learned to ignore the name because nothing happens, and the mom will join in with what she wanted to do. And I thought, you know, one day that little girl's going to be running towards maybe a loose dog or, you know, running towards a street. And she's going to say, I've been reinforced actually for ignoring my mom. So I remember thinking, oh, that's a dog training moment, but I see it happening with a child.
Yeah, absolutely. It is so important. We are setting habits. So if we're setting habits that we won't be happy with later on down the road, we need to change what we're doing to make sure that we do set those habits. So yeah, I mean, training is all about teaching listening skills. So there's no... Sometimes there's dogs that really are so cooperative about life that we get disillusioned. 99.95% of dogs out there need training.
Right, yeah.
You know, they need training to follow rules and understand what we're asking of them. And if we don't give them that training, we're going to have distracted dogs who don't listen.
Right,
who don't know how to listen.
Yes.
It's not intentional in their part. They've never been taught. You know, these are not skills that they're born with.
Right.
We need to take the time to teach them. That's fair.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. And sometimes you're comfortable too. You're sitting watching TV and now suddenly your dog has disappeared and it's like, but a good dog trainer, you're going to get up. You know, you're not just going to start calling like spot, spot, spot and hope they come back. You know, I get to pause the TV and I'm going to get up and I'm going to go and see what the dog is doing, or I'm going to put a baby gate up or put him on a long line to keep him in the TV room with me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good management until they understand the rules of the house, for sure.